Hey everybody, you're back in Jeff's kitchen. Got a bunch of pumpkin recipes for you today. I was going to do more, but I decided since I did the banana oat pancakes video already, that recipe is basically the same as my pumpkin pancakes. And you basically just replace the banana with pumpkin, add a little more cinnamon, maybe some maple syrup to it. And then we're doing all things pumpkin today. One of the other recipes that I consider doing is pumpkin leek soup. So both the pumpkin pancakes and the pumpkin leek soup I'll put down in the video description so you can access those. Pumpkin leek soup is super easy. It's you chop up a leek and some celery. You basically saute it, add pumpkin to it, just bring it to a nice simmer, get the leeks, and it's cooked pumpkin, by the way, chunks, and you add the cooked leeks to it, a little bit of rosemary and black pepper, puree it in a blender, and that's it. It's really a simple recipe, and it's quite good. But it is pumpkin season. We're just past Halloween here and past the election, thank God. So I'm going to do a couple of pumpkin recipes today that I'll demonstrate for you. One is my own. It's a pumpkin lentil coconut curry, which is delicious. And then Dreena Burton's Pumpkincredible Hummus. And those recipes will also be linked in the description. So without further ado, let's get started. Get you turned so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so first things first, in the pot, I have 3.5 cups of vegetable broth. We're going to turn that on, let her rip. Back in this pot, I'm going to do some jasmine rice in a little while. And then what I've done, I usually use more bell pepper than this. Just happened to be what I had on hand. We are in the middle of a pandemic, so I use what I have instead of running out every time to the store and just do it. So this is about half of the pepper that I normally use. I usually use a large red or orange bell pepper, a medium white onion. I've got all my spices here, which is a little bit of ginger powder, or you can use fresh ginger. I've got fennel seeds, a little bit of red pepper flake, a little bit of turmeric for color, and I have 3 tablespoons of curry powder. Now, we've talked about curry powder before, and I literally use this organic, generic, great value curry powder from Walmart, and it's really inexpensive. It actually has a nice blend to it, and it's not too spicy. Now, I did add a little bit of red pepper flakes to this to give it a little more spice. I got to break up my spices just a little bit here. And that's that. So what we're going to do is get this 3.5 cups of vegetable broth boiling. I'm going to go ahead and add right now to it my onion so we can get that softened up. And the nice thing about this pumpkin curry is it is all done in one pot, like many of my recipes are. I have one pot farro and bean skillet that's really hearty. I have a 1-pot lentil curry and others. And I'm going to wait just a minute to get the water boiling for the rice because the jasmine rice only takes about 15 minutes to cook. The other thing that I'm going to put into this right now, let me get my knife, is 3 garlic cloves. Ooh, that baby's big. I had a couple small ones, so I use a little bit extra. And if you don't have a garlic press, get one. They're a lifesaver. Really simple to just squeeze it in, take a little bit off the bottom. The skin comes right out of there, no problem. And when I'm done with this, I do like to give it a quick rinse so that the garlic doesn't stick onto thing that you can see here how easy that comes right out. That's the skin on. I just cut the little hard end off just to make it go through the press a little bit easier. Easy peasy. So while that is going to come to a boil, and I'll put everything else in it in just a minute, I'm going to show you how to do Dreena Burton's Pumpkincredible Hummus. Now, this is a super easy recipe, and I do have everything ready to go just so you guys can see it. First things first, I've got chickpeas, and as I pour this out, you can see that there's some white cannellini beans in there. I'm going to use a cup of pumpkin. Now, what I do with pumpkin is when they go on sale around Halloween, we'll get a big pumpkin, hollow it out, cut it up in chunks about, yay big, steam them, and then cut it off the rind and blanch, and then freeze them. So I have this pumpkin that I can use all year round. That's going to go in. The seasoning on this is a little bit of smoked paprika, a little bit of cumin. Cumin is the more heavy part of it. So it calls for allspice. I'm not a fan of cloves, so I'm using cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg in here. So we're going to put that here in my food processor. Quarter cup of lime juice. Now, one of the tricks on good hummus, in my opinion, is to save the juice from the chickpeas, and then if you need a little bit more liquid in there, you can add that to it. And in one of my recipes, it calls for about 3/4 of the chickpea brine, or aquafaba, as some call it. And that aquafaba, by the way, makes a great meringue. So we're going to just go ahead and get this rolling. So I can tell this is just a hair thick, having a hard time blending in there. So what I'm going to do, I drained my aquafaba here, and we're going to add some of that to the mix, and this should just blend right up. There it goes. All right, so I'm going to let that sit a minute and we'll get back to it because this is boiling here. So just to show you what I do and how easy this is. There's my bell pepper. There's all of my seasoning. We're going to just stir the seasoning in. Now a little trick, because I use non-stick pans, I like to use wooden spoons. But I have one spoon that I use that is for anything with turmeric or curry in it because it just stains it so bad. So there's our seasoning mixed in there. I've got 1 cup of red lentils. This is 3 cups of cooked pumpkin. You can see it's still a little bit frozen, but it doesn't matter. I prefer the chunks. You can use canned pumpkin. You can also use canned pumpkin in the hummus if you want, if you don't have the chunks. And there's that. Give that a stir for a minute. Oh, it smells good already. And then what I have here is 2 cups of spinach. Get our everything in there. You know what I forgot in this hummus is garlic. So we're going to add this garlic to the hummus as well. Just one is all is needed. And that's going to finish up in a minute. Now we're going to get this stirred down in here. I'm going to bring it to a good boil, and this only takes about 20 minutes to cook. That's because I'm using red lentils and the pumpkin is already cooked. And then at the end, we're going to add coconut milk to it to make it nice and creamy. Now, just a word on coconut milk. It's very high in saturated fat. If you have type 2 diabetes or heart disease, stay away from it. I fortunately very healthy, so I use it very, very sparingly. Alternatively, you can use coconut extract, which I have some on order that I'm going to try in recipes like this. So a little coconut extract and maybe some flax milk, and that would be a good alternative to not having the saturated fat in it. So that's an alternate there. So while this is cooking, I'm going to put the rice on, and we'll come back to you in probably about 20 minutes when that's done and the rice is done, and and I'll show you how I serve the pumpkin hummus as well. So give me just a minute, I'll be right back with you. Okay, real quick, I just wanted to show you what we've got going on here. There's your pumpkin hummus topped with pepitas. You could do regular pumpkin seeds if you want that have the hull on it. I happen to like the pepitas and keep them on hand, so there it is, delicious. So over here I do have the rice is going. We're just going to let that go, be about 15 minutes. And just a note on this pumpkin curry, what you're looking for is the lentils are going to basically make it into very stew-like. You can break up the pumpkin chunks if you want. Word of caution. Now, if you've got this to a good boil, and when it starts to thicken, if it's splashing on you, you've got it too hot. The other thing that happens is the lentils will start to stick even in a nonstick pan to the bottom. So just turn it down a little bit. Just slow it down, let it be at a nice little simmer, and it'll be done in a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to show you the last step here. You can see that this curry is getting nice and thick. I took the lid off just because I noticed the pumpkin had a little bit more liquid content than normal. If you really did want to thicken this up, you could add some cornstarch or arrowroot to it, which is my preference because it has less flavor. And then you wait till the end to put the coconut milk in, and the reason for that is so you don't scorch it, because it does scorch fairly easily. We're going to just stir this in. You can see that kind of thickens it up as well. And with the just with the amount we've got here, I'm going to not put quite the whole can in there, and we'll save that for another recipe. I have a red lentil coconut curry, like a masala, actually, a red lentil masala that has coconut milk in it, and that is just delicious. We check on our rice here, and that can get turned off. It's nice and fluffy. I did add a little bit of garlic and ginger to that. Let this heat up just a hair. Good and hot. And here's what we do. There's your nice jasmine rice, garlic jasmine rice. And you can see this is starting to come to another simmer, so that means the coconut is hot. And we're going to just spoon this onto our rice. And that's all there is to it. And then for our hummus, I'm just going to take a little bit of this, put it on this nice whole grain pita bread that I get from our Mediterranean market, and voila. That pumpkin hummus, delicious. We'll cook it here. All right, so that's it for our pumpkin recipes today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Last but not least, don't forget to take your vitamin D. There is a lot of research on this. Very important for fighting this COVID-19 we've got going around. So be safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, take your vitamin D, socially distance, stay home for Thanksgiving. Bye.